This conference is a collaboration between two organizations, the American Society for Cybernetics and the Bateson Idea Group. The Bateson Idea Group is having a big moment right now. A moment in history when these ideas of Gregory's are resurfacing and they are getting traction in a different sort of way. And the crux of that conversation is about how we think, about how we see the world, how we describe the world. It's a good time to take pause and look at the way we're looking so that we don't recreate the problems. That it could be argued stem back to the question of how are we seeing the interrelationships and the interdependencies in our world. We titled this conference An Ecology of Ideas. And that means that we're hoping it will actually be that. But that is not a given. That's going to take active participation and rebellion and a little bit of punk rock from all of us, I think. I'm not kidding, actually. It takes a lot of work to hold back the very seductive tsunami of cultural pressures that try to push us into one type of thinking or another. So I wanted to bring in a quote of Gregory's that I thought pertained to this. And he says, "The problem of trying to transmit our ecological reasoning to those whom we wish to influence in what seems to us to be an ecologically good direction is in itself an ecological problem."
We are not outside the ecology for which we plan. We are always and inevitably a part of it.
So that's the ecological problem where we come in.
Who are you?
I'm Felix Smith. I'm a physicist. I live in San Francisco. I guess I was living in Palo Alto when I knew Gregory. And I had profited a lot by reading his essay, the four-man paper on the double bind, something about towards the theory of schizophrenia, whatever that was. And that was very important for me because I was involved at that time in a double bind myself. I came from a double bind family, so I ended up understanding that situation quite well, mostly with the help of Gregory's, with the four-man paper, Watzlawick, Jackson, Weakland, and Bateson. Anyway, and it had helped me get out of one aspect of the double bind, and so I was able to tell Gregory about this when I happened to see him, find him unexpectedly at Esalen. He was willing to talk to me about it, and he liked the story. Only thing one can do in a double bind, as Gregory made it clear, is simply to leave it and not do anything.
You can't have a change in the system.
No, you can't, because
you have to have a change of the system.
The double binder is going to do everything to bring you back in, and you're vulnerable to those things and so on. So anyway, so I told Gregory this story, and then I told him that the message that I had sent to the man who was giving me a secondary double bind was actually a therapist. And so I had fortunately gotten out of it, and I sent him a message, and I told him that I was not coming back, and that I had discovered that we were involved in an inadvertent double bind that was most untherapeutic. So Gregory asked me what he did then. So I said, he sent me a closing bill, without a word, of course. And a few months later, I happened to see him in a restaurant. I was going to say hello to him. And he looked up at me, and he looked at me, and he turned his head, and he ignored me completely, and he cut me dead. So I told Gregory that, and he said, "Ah, yes, double binders do not like to be told.
Yeah.
And anyway, the one thing in addition is that I went out of there as if I felt as if I was floating on air. I knew who's boss now. So that's what Gregory did for me, and it made a great deal of difference in my life.